Alien classmates. Horrified by Deathworlder's self-care rituals, June arrived at Galactic Academy Station with just one small suitcase. He looked around the huge entry hall where hundreds of strange alien beings moved about. Some floated, some crawled, and some used strange walking machines. June felt very alone as the only human in sight. Student June Kim from Earth? A small floating robot approached him. Please follow the guidance lights to your dormitory. Blue lights appeared on the floor, creating a path. June followed them through the twisting hallways of the space station. He noticed how other students moved away from him in the halls. Some even pressed themselves against the walls. A few pointed at him and whispered to each other. "The Deathworlder is here," he heard one say. June had learned during orientation that Earth was classified as a death world, a planet with conditions so harsh that most galactic species considered it barely habitable. To them, humans were strange, creatures who evolved on a planet of poisons, radiation, and crushing gravity. The lights led him to a door marked Special Accommodations, Hazardous Species. June sighed. This wasn't a great start. The door slid open to reveal a room divided into 4 sections. 3 sections looked very strange, one filled with purple gas, another with bubbling liquid, and a third that seemed to be made of crystal formations. The 4th section looked almost normal, with a bed, desk, and small bathroom. "Hello?" June called. Movement came from each section. From the gas emerged a floating purple balloon-like creature with tiny waving tentacles. From the liquid rose a blue-skinned being with fins and large eyes. From the crystal section unfolded a tall, thin creature that sparkled in the light. "I am Duri," said the purple gas creature in a whistling voice. "Atmosphere dweller from Gaspo." "I am Hana," gurgled the blue aquatic being. "Ocean native from Marinara." "I am Te," chimed the crystal being with a voice like small bells. "Silicon-based from Crystallis." The 3 aliens stayed in their sections, keeping their distance from June. "I'm June Kim from Earth," he said with a small wave. "Nice to meet you all." "We've never had a Deathworlder roommate before," said Duri, floating a little higher. "The school told us you were coming." "They said we shouldn't touch you," added Hana, blinking her large eyes. "Is it true your body contains acid?" June laughed. "My blood is slightly acidic, yes, but it's inside me. I won't hurt you." "And you live under crushing gravity?" asked Te, crystal body making soft tinkling sounds when he moved. "Earth gravity is normal to me," explained June. "This station's gravity feels a bit light, actually." The aliens watched with great interest as June unpacked his suitcase. He took out clothes, books, and his personal care items. "What is that? Sharp tool?" asked Duri, pointing a tentacle at June's hairbrush. "It's just a hairbrush," said June, running it through his black hair to demonstrate. "For grooming." All 3 aliens moved back quickly. "You rake your skin covering with spikes?" gasped Hana. "Doesn't that hurt?" "No, it feels nice, actually," June said, confused by their reaction. When he took out his toothbrush and toothpaste, the reaction was even stronger. "Is that some kind of weapon?" Te's crystal body changed colors in alarm. "No, it's for cleaning my teeth." June showed them the toothbrush. "I'll use it in the bathroom." The aliens huddled together, whispering. June caught words like self-torture and dangerous practices. When he took out his small exercise mat and resistance bands, Duri actually screamed. "Torture devices," the gas being cried. "The rumors were true," June tried to explain. "These are for exercise, to keep my body healthy." "You deliberately stress your body tissues?" Hana looked horrified. "We were warned about Deathworlders, but this is worse than expected." June realized this was going to be harder than he thought. How could he explain human self-care to beings so different? "Maybe we can learn about each other's cultures," he suggested. "I'd like to understand your self-care routines too." The 3 aliens looked at each other nervously. "We will observe from a safe distance," decided Te. The xenobiology professor said humans are fascinating subjects. "I'm not a subject," June said with a sigh. "I'm just a student, like you." But the aliens had already retreated to their sections, watching him with a mixture of fear and fascination. As June set up his small section of the room. He wondered if he would ever fit in at Galactic Academy. Tomorrow would be his first classes, and he wasn't sure if his classmates would be any more understanding than his roommates. Little did he know that his simple human routines would cause even more confusion in the days to come. Alien classmates. Horrified by Deathworlder's self-care rituals, June woke up at exactly 6 more station time. His alarm was much quieter than his roommates expected. They thought humans would need loud noises to wake up. Instead, June's small device made a gentle beeping sound. The 3 aliens were already awake. On their worlds, sleep worked differently. Dury, the gas being, simply slowed down his molecules for 4 hours. Hana floated in her water tank, eyes half open in a light trance. Tay, the crystal being, went completely still, looking like a beautiful statue. They all watched as June sat up and stretched his arms. "Good morning," he said with a yawn. "Is that sound a warning?" asked Dury, floating higher in his gas chamber. "No, it's just a yawn. Happens when humans wake up," June explained. He stood up and reached for a small bottle on his shelf. The aliens watched closely as he opened it and put a white tablet in his mouth, then drank water. "Are you taking medicine? Are you sick?" Hana asked, pressing her webbed hands against the glass of her tank. "It's just a vitamin," said June. "Humans need certain nutrients every day." Next, June took out his exercise mat and spread it on the floor. He began with simple stretches, touching his toes and twisting his body. The aliens made sounds of shock. "He's bending his support structures," whispered Tay in horror. "Is he trying to break himself?" June moved on to push-ups. As his arms bent and straightened, lifting his body up and down, Dury's gas form turned a darker purple in distress. "The Deathworlder is damaging his limbs on purpose." Dury's voice was high and scared. "This must be some kind of ritual punishment." June noticed their reactions and stopped. "This is just exercise. It keeps my muscles strong. It's healthy for humans." "Healthy?" Hana's fins fluttered in confusion. "Putting strain on your body parts is healthy?" "Yes," June said. "If I don't exercise, my muscles get weak. Humans evolved on a high-gravity planet with predators. We need strong bodies." The aliens shared looks of disbelief as June finished 20 push-ups and moved on to sit-ups. Now he's folding his body in half. Tay's crystal form changed colors rapidly, showing extreme stress. "I can't watch this self-torture," but they did watch. They couldn't look away as June completed his morning routine with jumping jacks, making his whole body bounce up and down. When he finally stopped, breathing harder but smiling, his roommates were huddled together in Tay's crystal section, as far from June as possible. "Now for a shower," June said, grabbing his towel and heading to the bathroom. The sound of water running made Hana nervous. Water at high pressure? Is he trying to erode his outer layer? When steam began to come from under the bathroom door, Dury nearly fainted. "Extreme heat. The human is boiling himself," the gas being cried. June came out minutes later, looking refreshed. His roommate stared in shock at his wet hair and damp skin. "You survived," said Tay in amazement. "Of course," June replied, confused. "It's just a hot shower." The worst was yet to come. The aliens watched in horror as June took out his toothbrush, put paste on it, and began scrubbing his teeth. He's abrading his food processors with chemicals," whispered Hana, sinking lower in her tank. "This cannot be normal behavior." When June finished and rinsed his mouth, he noticed all 3 aliens were documenting his actions with small recording devices. "What are you doing?" he asked. "The xenobiology professor asked us to record the Deathworlder's self-care rituals," explained Tay. "No one has seen such behaviors up close before." June felt uncomfortable. "I'm not a science experiment." "But these behaviors are extreme," said Dury. "You deliberately stress your muscles, expose yourself to high temperatures, and scrape your outer and inner surfaces with tools and chemicals. That's normal for humans," said June, starting to feel frustrated. In the dining hall later that morning, things got worse. Other alien students moved away when June sat down with his breakfast tray. His food, eggs, toast, and coffee, looked strange and dangerous to them. The Deathworlder consumes solid matter and bitter stimulants, one student whispered loudly. Truly barbaric. June heard another say, I heard they sleep lying down completely still for 8 hours, like death, and then they wake up and torture themselves with exercise rituals. His roommates had apparently shared their recordings. Now the whole school was talking about the humans' strange morning routine. As June ate his breakfast alone, he wondered if coming to Galactic Academy had been a mistake. How could he fit in when his normal, healthy habits seemed like torture to everyone else? Alien classmates. Horrified by Deathworlder's self-care rituals, 3 days after June's arrival at Galactic Academy, he received a strange message on his student tablet. Urgent. Please report to Wellness Chamber 5 immediately. June frowned. He hadn't felt sick. Was this some kind of standard checkup for Earth students? He followed the station map to a large circular room with soft blue lighting. When the door slid open, he was surprised to see a crowd waiting inside. His 3 roommates stood near the front, looking nervous. Behind them were several teachers, the station doctor, and even the academy director, a tall, 6-armed being named Sue. Student June, said Director Sue with a formal bow. Please sit. June sat in the only empty chair, feeling confused. Everyone was staring at him with what looked like concern and fear. We have called this intervention because we are worried about your health and safety, continued Director Sue. Your roommates have shown us recordings of your self-harm behaviors. Self-harm? June asked, shocked. What are you talking about? His roommate Tay stepped forward, crystal body glowing with anxiety. The morning torture rituals, the crystal being explained. The muscle straining, the hot water, the teeth scraping. June's mouth fell open as he realized what was happening. You mean my exercise and hygiene routines? The station doctor, a green blob-like creature named Dr. Jin, moved forward. Student June, we understand that Deathworlders have different needs, but these behaviors seem designed to cause pain and damage. They aren't, June protested. Exercise makes humans stronger. Showering keeps us clean. Brushing teeth prevents decay. The aliens looked at each other with doubt. Professor Bo, the xenobiology teacher, displayed a hologram of June doing push-ups. You deliberately stress your muscle fibers until they develop micro-tears, he said. This seems harmful. The tears heal stronger, June tried to explain. Human bodies adapt to stress. And this? Dr. Jin showed a thermal image of June in the shower surrounded by red and orange heat indicators. You stand under water heated to nearly 40 degrees. Most species would cook at such temperatures. June sighed. Humans find hot water relaxing. It helps our muscles and cleans our skin. Director Sue looked concerned. Student June, I've studied the file Earth sent about human needs. It didn't mention these extreme practices. June realized he needed to prove his point. May I show you something? He asked, standing up. The aliens moved back quickly, giving him space. Look, June said. He rolled up his sleeve and flexed his arm. These muscles developed through exercise. They're healthy, not damaged. Dr. Jin approached cautiously with a medical scanner. The device hummed as it passed over June's arm. Fascinating, the doctor said. The muscle tissue shows signs of repeated stress and healing, but the overall structure is indeed stronger. And my teeth? June smiled wide, showing his clean, white teeth. Brushing removes bacteria that would cause decay. Professor Bo leaned closer. Remarkable. So the abrasion is preventative maintenance? Exactly. June felt relief. Humans need regular maintenance. Our bodies evolved to stay active. Without exercise, our muscles get weak. Without cleaning, bacteria build up. His roommate Hana raised a webbed hand. But doesn't it hurt? Sometimes exercise can be uncomfortable, June admitted. But mostly it feels good. And being clean definitely feels good. Dr. Jin was busily taking notes. So what appears as self-harm to other species is actually self-care for humans? Yes. June nodded eagerly. We come from a high-gravity world. with lots of bacteria and predators. Our bodies need to stay strong and clean to survive. The aliens began to whisper among themselves. June could see they were still confused, but starting to understand. Director Sue called for quiet. Student June, would you be willing to let Dr. Jin perform a full medical scan? For science and to ensure you're truly healthy? June agreed. The scan took only minutes, with June standing still while beams of light passed over his body. Dr. Jin studied the results with growing excitement. This is amazing. The human's body shows signs of regular stress throughout, but all systems are functioning at high efficiency. The cleaning rituals have kept bacterial counts extremely low. Professor, Bo looked at the results too. So the Deathworlder behaviors, they're actually perfect adaptations for Earth conditions. June's roommates approached cautiously. We're sorry we thought you were hurting yourself, said Dury, floating lower in a gas being's version of a bow. We should have asked before recording. You, added Tay. June smiled. It's okay. Our species are very different. I'd like to learn about your self-care routines too. Director Sue nodded with approval. This could be an excellent cultural exchange opportunity. Perhaps Student June could give a presentation about human health practices. As the meeting ended and the aliens left, talking excitedly about what they had learned, June felt a weight lift from his shoulders. Maybe he could fit in at Galactic Academy after all. Alien classmates horrified by Deathworlder's self-care rituals, the lecture hall was filled to capacity. Students from all corners of the galaxy crowded in, some hanging from the ceiling, others floating in special atmosphere bubbles. All eyes were fixed on the small stage where June stood beside a table covered with human items. Thank you all for coming to this cultural exchange presentation, said Professor Bo, his tentacles waving gently. After the recent misunderstanding about Student June's self-care rituals, we decided to create this educational opportunity. June took a deep breath. He felt nervous with so many alien eyes watching him. His roommate sat in the front row, giving him encouraging signals. Dury glowed brighter, Hana rippled her fins, and Tay sparkled. Hello everyone, I'm June from Earth. Today I want to show you how humans take care of their bodies and why these practices make sense for our species. He picked up his toothbrush. Let's start with something simple. This isn't a torture device. It's a tool for cleaning our teeth. A student in the back raised a tentacle. But why scrape your food processors? Doesn't that wear them down? Actually, it prevents decay, June explained. Human teeth can last our whole lives if properly maintained. Our mouths contain bacteria that can damage teeth if not removed regularly. He demonstrated brushing on a model of human teeth that Dr. Jin had helped him create. The aliens watched with fascination. Now, about showering, June continued. Humans have millions of sweat glands in our skin. We produce oils and moisture that can trap bacteria. Hot water and soap remove these, keeping us healthy. But the temperature, gasped a small blue alien. Isn't it painful? Not at all. Earth's oceans and hot springs can be much hotter. Our skin is designed to handle a wide range of temperatures. Next came the part June was most excited about. Now I want to learn about your self-care practices. Who would like to share? At first no one moved. Then Hana raised her fin. In my ocean world we swim through special mineral currents daily. They remove parasites and refresh our scales. That sounds like our showering, June said with a smile. Encouraged, other students began to share. A huge furry being stood up. My people roll in specific types of sand to clean our fur and sharpen our claws. We gas beings, Dury added, pass through electrical fields to rebalance our molecular structure. June wrote these practices on a large screen. Soon it was filled with alien self-care rituals that had seemed just as strange to him as his had seemed to them. Look at this list, he said. We all have ways to stay healthy based on our evolutionary needs. Different, but with the same purpose. Professor Bo nodded approvingly. An excellent observation, Student June. Then came the part that made June most nervous. Now, I'd like to invite volunteers to try modified versions of human self-care practices. Stunned silence fell over the room. Try human practices, it seemed dangerous. But curiosity was strong. Tay was the first to volunteer. I will attempt the stretching if it won't crack my crystal structure. June had worked with Dr. Jin to create safe modifications for different species. For Tay, they had designed gentle, flexing movements that wouldn't strain crystal bonds. As Tay carefully bent and stretched, the crystal being's surface began to glow brighter. "This is pleasant," Tay said with surprise. "It realigns my crystal patterns." Next, a group of furry aliens tried a soft brush designed for their thick fur. They purred with pleasure as the brush removed loose hairs and massaged their skin. Even Jury tried a special vibrating device that created waves through his gaseous form. "Most invigorating," the gas being exclaimed, turning a happy shade of pink. By the end of the session, dozens of aliens had tried modified human practices. Many found benefits they hadn't expected. "It seems," said Director Su, who had been watching, from the back, "that while our bodies are different, the principles of maintenance have universal applications." Professor Bo stepped forward. "I propose we create an ongoing cultural exchange. Each week, a different species can share their self-care practices." The room filled with sounds of agreement, clicks, whistles, hums, and words in dozens of languages. As the session ended, aliens crowded around June, asking questions and sharing ideas. His roommates beamed with pride. "You've changed how they see humans," said Hana. "Not just scary Deathworlders, but beings with wisdom to share." June smiled. For the first time since arriving at Galactic Academy, he felt like he truly belonged. Different didn't mean wrong, it just meant adapted to different worlds, and in understanding those differences they had found common ground among the stars. Alien classmates, horrified by Deathworlders' self-care rituals, the alarm blared through Galactic Academy Station with a sound that made even the most calm aliens panic. Red lights flashed in every corridor. The station's smooth computer voice sounded stressed for the first time. "Emergency alert. Life support systems failing in sectors 7 through 12. Gravity fluctuations detected. All students proceed to emergency shelters." June was in the biology lab with his classmates when the alarm started. The teacher, Professor Bo, tried to keep everyone calm. "Form your species groups and follow evacuation procedures," the professor called over the noise. The aliens quickly moved to their designated safety areas. Gas beings like Duri floated toward ceiling vents. Water breathers like Hana rushed to emergency tanks. Crystal beings like Tai stood perfectly still to avoid damage from the coming gravity changes, but June had no special area. As the only human in class, he waited for instructions. Suddenly the gravity shifted. Everything became much lighter. Small objects began to float. Several students who weren't secured started drifting toward the ceiling. "Help!" cried a small, furry alien named Gil, who hadn't reached his magnetic attachment point. His tiny paws couldn't grab anything as he floated higher. Without thinking, June pushed off the floor and caught Gil in midair. The human's stronger muscles allowed him to control his movement even in the changing gravity. "Thank you, Deathworlder," Gil said with relief. June helped him reach his safety spot. The computer voice spoke again. "Warning. Temperature control failing. Prepare for rapid cooling in affected sectors." Professor Bo looked worried. "The emergency system should have started by now. Something is very wrong." The room began to get colder quickly. Many alien species were very sensitive to temperature changes. Several students started to shiver and slow down. June noticed his roommate Hana's water tank was dropping in temperature too fast. The water breather's movements were becoming sluggish. "Hana needs heat," June said to the professor. "Many of them do." "The backup heating systems must be offline," Professor Bo replied. "Station control isn't responding to calls." June made a quick decision. "I can help. Humans can handle cold better than most species here." He took off his outer shirt and wrapped it around Hana's tank. Then he began doing jumping jacks and push-ups next to the tank. "What are you doing?" asked Professor Bo, confused. "Creating body heat," June explained between exercises. "The same torture rituals that scared everyone. Human exercise generates a lot of heat." The aliens watched in amazement as June continued. "Exercising hard. Soon the area around him became noticeably warmer. The heat from his body helped keep Hana's water from getting too cold. "The Deathworlder's strange practices are saving Hana," whispered one student to another. The emergency went on for hours. The gravity continued to change unpredictably. The temperature kept dropping. And worst of all, the air quality began to worsen. Many species started having trouble breathing. Some student volunteers were taking turns operating the manual air filters, but they tired quickly. "I'll do it," June offered. "Human endurance, remember?" For the next 2 hours, June worked the heavy pump handles that kept the air clean. His muscles burned with effort, but he didn't stop. The exercise routines he did every morning had prepared his body for this kind of strain. "Remarkable," said Professor Bow, watching June work without rest. "The very adaptations we thought were self-harm are saving us all." When station technicians finally reached their sector, they found a strange scene. A human student was operating life support equipment, covered in sweat despite the cold, while aliens of all kinds watched with new respect in their eyes. The next day, after all systems were fixed, Director Sue called a special assembly. The huge meeting hall was packed with students and teachers. "Yesterday's emergency taught us an important lesson," the director said. "Different evolutionary paths create different strengths. What seemed like strange or even harmful practices to some may be vital survival skills to others." Director Sue turned to where June sat with his roommates. "Student June, please stand." June stood, feeling embarrassed by the attention. This human's daily self-care rituals, the exercise that builds strength and endurance, the temperature adaptations, the hygiene practices that allow humans to stay healthy in their bacteria-filled world, these same practices helped save many lives yesterday. The room filled with the sounds of alien applause, clicks, hums, light flashes, and other expressions of appreciation from hundreds of different species. "To honor this, we are creating a new class at Galactic Academy," continued Director Sue. "Xenobiological adaptations and emergency preparedness, to be taught by student June alongside Professor Bow." June looked surprised. "Me? Teach?" "Yes," said the director. "Your Deathworld adaptations are not just fascinating, they're valuable. All our species can learn from each other." As June returned to his seat, his roommates greeted him with their versions of smiles. "From scary Deathworlder to teacher," said Tay with a crystal chime of laughter. "What a journey," June smiled. What had started as horror at his human habits had transformed into understanding and respect. Different didn't mean wrong. Sometimes different was exactly what you needed when things went wrong. The end.